Okay, we've put the figures together now. Just have how well you can see that, but yeah, they're nice figures. Got them all made up. That's another one. What I'll do is wait till everything to finish drying. There we go. Cool little figures. And the tank is nice. So, for what, I think it was about £11 for this kit. It's an old kit, but it does look pretty good. So that's everything put together. Next stage is the painting. Right, I've got everything painted black now with just some artist's black acrylics, nothing fancy, fairly cheap to buy and easy to spray on. Just painting everything, the tracks, everything, and the models themselves with a nice black first coat. And after I've done that, I will apply some Humbrol liquid fluid stuff to stick on there and mask off the areas that I don't want to be painted. What's it called? There we go. That's the stuff. Humbrol Mask All. It's good stuff actually. Stinks like fish, but it's quite good. So I'll just apply that onto the tank. Leave the figures as they are for the minute, and then I'll put the next coat over the top of that. I'll probably about 3 coats of paint will go on. The figures I'll paint by hand later on, and hopefully when that's done it shouldn't look too bad. Okay, so that's that stage completed, and next on to the next coat of paint. Right, I have painted the tank dark green over the black that I painted previously, and I'm now going to apply some Humbrol Mask All to the tank, and I'll be using just your bog standard sponge that you use in the kitchen, chopped up. Dab a little bit of that into the Mask All and then put it on the edges and the areas that will have chipping effect. When I finish doing that, I'm going to put cotton wool, small bits of cotton wool on it as well, so you get a worn away chipping effect, and you also get some patchy green areas coming through the yellow that I'm going to paint on top of the tank afterwards. So that's the next stage. Let's get on with that, and then we'll come back to you. Okay, I've got the Humbrol Mask All with my little kitchen sponge and dab that on. You can see that on areas like that, just a little specks of it. That will keep the next painted coat off and give me a nice chipping effect. And as well as that, I've added little balls of cotton wool, and all I've done with that to make them stick down is get a little tiny blob of blue tack, stick it on the back of the cotton ball and put it on the tank. So I'm now going to spray this dark yellow colour all over, take off the cotton wool, rub off the Humbrol masking fluid, and then we'll see what sort of result we get. Right, we've taken off the cotton wool and we've rubbed off the Humbrol masking fluid, which reveals the green underneath the sandy colour, and yeah, it's just a little bit overkill on the chipping, but I quite like that. I think tanks should look beaten up and rough, the idea of them looking nice and neat and tidy doesn't really kind of go with a tank that's going into battle. So yeah, fairly pleased with that. Got to carry on adding a bit more to it. Next thing I'm going to do is grind up some chalk pastels, some browns and rust colours. I'll mix them with a little bit of white glue, and then I'll dab them around the tracks and make it look a bit grubby and muddy. I know this is tracking through the sand, but I'm sure they still got pretty filthy dirty when they were tracking through there. And then after I've done that, perhaps a bit of a wash over the top, panel line wash maybe, and the decals to go on. But we're getting there, and so far I'm quite happy with it. Right, we've painted the figures. I've still got a little bit more work to do to them, but they're all painted up. Perhaps a little bit of dry brushing on them just to bring out a bit of detail. Tank is finished now and weathered. Quite happy with that. So after all that, the next stage is to build a diorama for them. A scene in the desert is what I'm going to aim for. So when I've done that, we'll come back and see how we get on. Okay, we've now completed our model. This is the Tamiya kit. It's quite an old kit, 1971 I think it says on the model that I've got here. Panzer Kampfwagen II. This one served in the Africa Corps in the African desert. So because it's in the African desert, I tried to do a desert scene. So if I just show you here what I've done. This is just a piece of polystyrene, and what I've done is I've got some polyfiller and just coated the top thinly with polyfiller, and with a spatula just smoothed it out to give me the effects of sand dunes piling up. I also, on this area here, let me just zoom in on that one for you a little bit. Yeah. For the rocks, it's just a pieces of polyfiller that's dried up and taken out of a plastic tub, smashed up a little bit, and then sprinkled into the wet polyfiller to give this effect of sort of slaty rocks. And then on the odd little bit, just sprinkle little bits of dust in, and I'm quite happy with that. That gives quite a nice effect. The bushes are just some old Christmas trees decorations I had left over from Christmas, which I've stuck in there with a few little bits of grass. And the tank tracks at the back, well, that's just the tank pushed down into the soft polyfiller a little bit before finally giving the whole thing a coat of yellow ochre to get the sand effect. So quite pleased with that. It came out not too bad, and for the price of the kit's actually quite cheap to buy, and you get 5 little figures. And I think, you know, for the price, I think it was about 11 quid for that price to make a nice little diorama. I was pretty pleased with that. So there we go. That's my finished Panzer Kampfwagen II. Hope you liked it, and I'll do perhaps another video next time I do a diorama. In the meantime, thanks to Hemela Barker, I think I got your name right there, for all your tips on making tanks. If you haven't visited his YouTube channel, do check it out, it's really good. And happy modelling. See you in the next video.